to Charting the Future series. Today, we're going to be discussing the future in trades, careers that build, fix, create, and inspire. I'm Dr. Johnny Mae Morgan, and I am part of the Office for Youth Engagement at Texas A&M University. And our mission is to increase awareness of post-secondary opportunities among K through 8 students and their families through engaging lessons, community outreach, and programs like this one. So when we think of post-secondary opportunities for our students, we often think college first path that comes to mind. But there's a whole world of high demand hands-on careers that are just as valuable, that offer great pay, job security, and meaningful work. So today I'm excited to welcome our great guest, Mr. William Gates. He is a CTE or Career and Technical Education Educator in Irving ISD. And Mr. Gates has been working with countless families and students to navigate the world of career and technical education. And he's also passionate about introducing young people to fulfilling and hands-on career paths. So I'm gonna jump right on in and see how we can learn more about introducing skilled trades to our K through 8 students. Now, when we hear the phrase skilled trades, we may think careers that are physical, technical, or require tools, but there's so much more. These are careers that often require a certification, apprenticeship, or even 2-year degree, such as carpentry, you have welding, cosmetology, automotive repair, plumbing, HVAC. It's endless. But what I love about this topic is these jobs not only offer great earning potential, but they also give students a way to express creativity, to work with their hands and solve real world problems. So I'm gonna rope you in, Mr. Gates. From your perspective, why do you think it's so important that we introduce skilled trades early? And how do these careers help our communities thrive?
Well, I would say that it's important to get them going early because it's like we have this misconception in the world that college is the only route to go once you get out of high school. And if you don't go to college and you don't have the bachelor's degree, then I mean, you're just one of those, low status people that has to go be a plumber, and you're just not as cool as everybody else. And that's all the way wrong. Uh, like our whole society is built on people who do technical jobs. We have people in construction building our infrastructure. We have roofers fixing storm damage. You know, we have plumbers that obviously come in and fix all the plumbing that we have, all the plumbing issues that we might have. Like there's so many different career paths that you can take that are technical, that, like you were talking about a minute ago, pay really well, give you a stability, and actually open you up for like entrepreneurship. So if you're really good at being an electrician, for example, you go through the apprenticeship that you need to go through. You go through all the steps that you need to take to be an electrician. Pause for a second. My wife, she was growing up. Her grandfather was a welder, and he owned his own welding company. And like one of the things that he communicated to my wife, his granddaughter, growing up, was whatever it is that you do, pour yourself all the way into it. Learn everything you can know about whatever it is that you're going into. And my wife is dyslexic, and so she she hates reading. It's really like she can't stand it, and going to school is like she's done with school. After high school she was done, but she got a job at a doctor's office as a medical assistant and got some kind of accommodations to help her get there. And she learned, every position there was at the doctor's office. She learned her position first, and then she learned the front office position, and then she learned how to do phlebotomy or whatever in the back, and she learned how to do the collections, and she learned how to fix the numbers so that whatever their star rating, whatever the rating is, looked really good. And she learned every position, and she got to a point where it was like, I kind of like know all this, everything, every job that's available in this doctor's office, I know all of it. And why can't I be a manager at this point because I don't have the degree? And the company that she works for does have a prerequisite. You got to have the degree. Only because she busted her hump and stayed with it and made a name for herself. Like executives would come to her office and say, uh, "You're amazing. Your name just reverberates around our uh, executive offices." Because she did all that, it's like she knows everything. She has a good reputation. She works really hard. Go ahead and manage. They've given, and so now she manages a doctor's office with like 9 doctors in it and like 30 other employees. And all of it because she learned everything there was to know about what she was doing from every angle she could. And from that knowledge, from that base, they let her be a manager, even though she doesn't have the degree. And so I guess the point that I'm ultimately making is that, like, if you decide to go be a plumber and you do the apprenticeship necessary to be a plumber and you learn everything there is to know about being a plumber, yeah, you could go find a company to work for. Or you could say, hey, why don't I just go do this thing on my own? And you can start your own business. And like her grandfather, my wife's grandfather, also dyslexic, also didn't get any college education, was a millionaire because he learned everything there was to know, busted his hump, learned how to be, have good relationships with people. And at the end of the day, like college is necessary for some things. University is absolutely critical. They're like, I don't want a heart doctor who like learned it on YouTube. I don't want to do that. But there's like a million other occupations out there, a million other ways to make money that necessarily require you to go to school and go into that debt and blah, blah, blah. So I very much encourage people to be open-minded about trades and open-minded about things that don't exactly steer them towards college. College is great. Go if you need it, depending on the career path you're going down, but you shouldn't feel pigeonholed that you have to go to college
No,
in
that's a
order.
great. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Well, I was
done.
just going to say that's a great point.
Yeah.
But to catch it right when you said is that whatever path works for you, like that is literally like the number one. Is like you said, college amazing, but it's not for everyone. There's
Yeah.
different things for different people. But you did mention one of the misconceptions of
Hmm.
trades, which I've definitely heard it. It makes it seem as if it's like I call it a booby prize or something you do because you couldn't do anything else. Like you said, that
Yeah.
you became a plumber because you couldn't get any other career, as if, and that's kind of demeaning, a little bit offensive, like, because it makes it
All
seem
the
like
way.
people that enjoy those, fields like carpentry, all kinds of things, building things,
Mhm.
they enjoy those. Are there any
Oh,
other
yeah.
misconceptions that you may have heard of, like about skilled trades, kind of like that, like it's just secondary, they just settled for that? Are there any other misconceptions that you could think of that you might have heard over the years about skilled trades?
Just that they pay less, that they, you don't have the same access to things like health insurance and retirement and uh, those kinds of things. And all of those are just absolute fabrications. Even if you decide to entrepreneurially start your own technical business, there are pathways for you to go out there and start a 401k on your own. Find insurance providers that don't necessarily require you to be part of some big organization to go get the insurance. There's those pathways, those things are out there and available to people. And I think there's a very, very common misconception that, like, in order to have a retirement and be ready to retire when it's time and to get a steady paycheck, and you have to go work for someone else. And so I'm kind of blending entrepreneurship with the technical aspect of it. I know, but listen, those technical jobs, you can find technical jobs where, like Verizon hires tons of people who are electrical engineers and data engineers and things like that, where yeah, they can get paid really well, and they can get the insurance, and they can get their retirement, all the benefits, all the things. All of that's still available to you. You don't have to go to a 4-year school to get those things, to have access to those things. That's just an absolute misconception.
I've definitely kind of heard all of those, not all of them, but most of those I've definitely heard as well, especially
Which
the
one? Which ones have you
downplaying
heard?
well,
Let's
I've
turn
definitely heard the
the
downplaying the
recording.
career that they don't realize how much money like trades can actually make. And again, definitely the working for somebody else, they don't realize like you're blending entrepreneurship with it, but rightfully so, because it's
Mhm.
very, very easy of a trend, not easy, I guess I should say, simple enough of a transition to go from being certified, starting a trade, and like you said, learning all the things about your craft, and then starting your own business doing that. So it's definitely, you might have blended them, but you definitely blended them correctly and like
Thanks,
right
pal.
on chef's kiss, like right on top.
Thanks, pal.
But since we now know kind of like why trades are valuable, I do want to touch on like how we can make the past feel more real for like younger students, whether that's like using tools at home, exploring it through clubs or projects, trying to find ways to introduce trades early without needing like special experience or equipment. Like me personally, I've seen kids get excited just when we're given the chance to build something with our hands. Like it could be a birdhouse, like those simple birdhouse like sets that you'll see inside of the store, like building a birdhouse, or even just Legos. I do a
Yeah.
workshop that's like teamwork collaboration, just looking at the minds working when they're trying to build like a marshmallow tower, things like that, or even just fixing things around the house and being helpful. So, what kind of like programs, or can you think of any programs or activities you'd recommend for families that kind of want to help, say, elementary or middle school like children start exploring trades early on? Some kind of things that they could do, programs, activities, anything like that?
I mean, you kind of ate up a little bit of what I was going to say. I would say that the best way to do it actually is for the parents to, understand their network. Who's in their network? Who are your friends? Who are your family members? What do they do? And like I've I did this for a good while when my kids were in their early and I guess later teens too. But it's like I have friends who are in different career paths, different career fields, and I just go sit down and have a breakfast with them and be like, "Hey, man, can I buy you breakfast? I'm going to bring my kid. We're just going to talk about what you do." Uh, is kind of an idea about all the options. One of those was a journeyman electrician who sat there with 3 of my boys and talked about the educational requirements that were necessary, the responsibilities of the job, the dangers of the job, the benefits of the job. And that really helped them. I have a kid who's in the Navy right now doing electrical work on a submarine, largely because of that conversation. And so know your network, like talk to the people in your life, and who do you know that is in a trade that can provide some kind of guidance and some kind of a real world perspective on what it is that it means to actually be a person in a trade and make a living doing it. I would also say for sure, one of the things that you mentioned is like, if you own a home, there are a million things that you have to do. Oh my gosh, owning a home is such a pain. But like you're going to go do it. Either you're going to do it or you're going to pay someone to do it. And in either one of those cases, I had a come and sort of help me do some painting and drywall work. And this is before I knew anything about anything. I was like first moved into my house. And I was like, "Hey man, listen, do you mind if I just sort of sit here and like help you and like watch you do it?" And he said, "Sure, yeah, not a problem." And so basically, I had him come in and give me an education on what it looked like to do drywall work. And nobody would pay me to do my drywall work, even today. But I don't have to pay anybody else to do it. So totally cool. But the point is that like you got so much to do around your house with your car, with your, like we talked about plumbing multiple times, the electricity, if you're a computer nerd, which I don't think nerd's a bad word, but if you do, I'm sorry. If you're a computer nerd, you've got all the how does a computer actually get built, and then how does how can you program whatever kind of program it is that you're coding, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can figure out coding. There's so many little things that you can figure out and help your kids along the way, and in doing so you can encourage them to say, hey, listen, it's totally cool to actually just have a trade, be a welder. That was, my wife's grandfather was a welder. And like I said, millionaire with multiple houses, there are so many different ways that you can go about making money. And how about you not listen to everybody else when they say that if you don't go to a 4-year college, you're not a real person.
But no, that's honestly, that is actually amazing advice that you gave that I don't know if I've ever really thought of it. Like I think of shadowing, like everybody like, oh, bring your go to work with your parent or go to work with somebody or bring somebody in for like a career day. And I do tell students all the time when I'm talking to them about exploring careers, I'm always like, oh, yeah, if it's at your barbershop, maybe you're interested, ask them if you could shadow them one day. Or maybe I just told somebody today that she was interested in being a veterinarian. I'm like, well, volunteer at an animal shelter. Those people love animals. Trust me, they will answer whatever question. They will be excited that you're asking questions about
Totally.
what they do. So that's honestly even more obvious is like I said, your network, like your friends,
Totally.
your who you.
Totally.
Yeah, like I was like, so that's I guess
Yeah.
common sense not so
And
common for
man,
me. I never even like it didn't click to think of that. Like you said, just ask them, "When do you go to lunch?" I mean, you're hanging out with them a lot of times anyways.
true.
It's silly
And
cookout
man,
season. Like,
I'm kind of an extroverted person, and so
yeah.
I like people, I like hanging out with people, I like talking to people, you mentioning that you were trying to, make a little money on the side. And he's a contractor, general contractor, but specifically he focuses a lot on roofing. And he's like, you should really look into appraising. It's not a career field that's going to like take off or anything. It's actually dwindling, but because of AI and the use of drones and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, there's so many people that are fleeing it that there's all this work right now that's still there need to be done. And hey, somebody got to do it. And why don't you jump in there? And so I did. I mean, I'm actually in the process of trying to find a mentor who can help me like walk me down the path of apprenticeship to be an appraiser. But at the end of the day, it all came about because, it's just somebody I know. And if you're open enough and honest enough with the people around you about presently where you're trying to go, what if you've got some openings in time where it's like I've got like probably 10 or 20 hours a week that I can invest in something else, and you talk to enough people and you're open enough with people, people will just tell you. They love people to love talking about themselves. It's one of the things that you can pretty much trust is people will talk about themselves, which is why you have me on here so I can talk about myself. uh
Well,
but
speaking of you,
yes.
definitely, I want to stay on that thought for sure
Okay.
because you've been, like I said, working quite some time with career and technical education, and you're doing it from a school standpoint as well. And what I've actually found out is some people don't actually know really what, especially if we use acronyms all the time, right? CTE, CCMR, CPHEI, and AVID. So some people, students will say they didn't even know what AVID was, or they didn't really understand what like CTE classes were. So not just your CTE, but for sure that. But what kinds of programs and like opportunities are available? Just for some that might not know of things, like classes and things that their students can be doing in school, whether that's elementary or middle school. Are there things that they could do to kind of or classes they could take, or even programs or after school programs or anything they can kind of get into if their
Mhm.
student is kind of entertaining the trades or just likes working and building things and figuring things out?
All right. So as far as educationally, like the your standard school day, absolutely go talk to your administrators of your kids' school about any kind of CTE programs that they have. CTE, career and technical education. For a long time, I this is my first year to not teach curriculum about these different career paths, but for the previous like 4 or 5 years, it was I'm a middle school teacher trying to introduce kids to a potential career path they might go down in the future. And so I taught a class called Build, which is just this, basics of construction. I taught a class called Fashion Marketing, which kids got to sit around and like actually learn, the color wheel and how complementary colors work and how the different shapes that you can make with an outfit, and not just the fashion end of it, the fashion design end of it, but they actually got to learn what the marketing end of it looked like, what branding means. And, uh, as far as I'm aware, they're pretty much every school district is going to have some kind of CTE program. And my advice all day long is to get your kids in some kind of CTE program, because at the end of the day, CTE is fun too. These kids get to build stuff. They get to program. Right now, I'm doing what's called a VILS curriculum, Verizon Innovative Lab. And I don't mean to plug them, but whatever. Sorry, y'all. But basically, these kids have these different technologies that they have access to: 3D printers and laser cutters and VR headsets. And their job is to learn how to address real world problems, sustainability issues, using the technology that they have in these classes. And the higher you go up, the more detailed the program gets as far as CTE in general is concerned. So we talked about uh, construction. I gave them a brief overview, just to kind of give them an idea, and over the course of the year, what a career construction might look like. But if they were to go to high school, they would get actual people who've been in industry, who are able to give them projects that are hands-on, that require them to really think through things, require them to develop skills, and then to use the skills that they develop and the critical thinking skills they develop to build really cool stuff. Like, I'm in Irving. I went to MacArthur recently, which is a high school here in Irving, and just did a walkthrough of their CTE department. And holy bananas, the stuff that they build up there is crazy cool. It's so detailed. And so definitely communicate with your um, school district, with your kid's school, and find out what kind of CTE courses they might have. And also your schools are great resources for, your counseling department at the school is a great resource for figuring out if there are any after school programs that might be available for you locally. Everywhere is different, but there are absolutely after school summer programs, summer camps that kids can attend where, again, they can work on things like coding. They can work on things like you're talking about carpentry, what it is to actually use the under supervision, and builds that we all use every day. So I don't know that I've got any specific programs, but absolutely to reach out to your kid's school, talk to the counselors, and they've got all those resources for you.
And we have a chat. It says, love the conversation. You learned early the benefit of technical jobs and skilled trades. It says they provided specialized skills which can't be taken away while opening doors to so much more. And I'm actually, it's ironic that that comment came up in the chat because I was holding on to that when you said something about CTE is it's fun. And it's like the students have a lot of fun there, and there's a lot of other things they can get out of it other than career things, because that's certainly something I want to touch on. Because, of course, they worry, will your child be able to make a good living in that field? Right. But there's so much more than just learning a skill and learning a career and a job. So, can you think of any like skills, or what are some strengths that students might develop in those trades class? Because you touched on a few, but I don't know if there's anything else you can say pertaining to like the strengths and the skills that they develop other than just learning their trade. Not just learning the trade, but you know what I mean? Other than just welding, what else can they learn by just taking CTE classes?
Obviously, the technical end, the trade end that you're talking about, and the biggest that, but for me, the biggest one is the problem solving. We get really complicated problems that we face sometimes, and if we're in a specific field, again, going back to plumbing, you got to think about, hot water, cold water, drainage. Do we have the right, what do you call them, gutters on a house? It's super complicated. And sometimes we're presented with problems that we have to really sit back and think about, because you might say, I need to completely remove all of the electrical out of a room and completely redo it, whereas somebody else who's got the experience and the problem solving tools that they've developed over time might say, no, 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 we don't need to actually replace all of the electrical wiring and all of it. All we need to do is go fix a couple of these specific points and replace a couple of these specific parts, and boom, we're good to go. The biggest one that's not technical for me is absolutely all the way problem solving. We've got real world problems we have to figure out. We've got problems in whatever building you're in, whether it's your job or your home. If you're a construction worker on the street, like, construction workers who are building homes and building roads, if they accidentally, we had this weird situation that happened like earlier this year. It was like the last day before Christmas break, and I was standing in my room, and like kids are just sort of doing whatever they're doing, and one of them was like, "Mr. Gates, it smells like gas." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, it does." And I looked out my window, and there was a construction crew in the back doing some like digging with a backhoe, and all I saw was the three dudes that were in the construction that were part of the team walking very briskly in the same direction away from the site. I was like, oh no. So I called down to the office. I'm like, y'all, it smells like gas and these dudes are running away. Can we figure out what's going on, please? And like 5 minutes later, they evacuated the whole stinking building, and we had to go like across the street. And even across the street, it was so powerful that whatever they hit was such a giant hole that kids were vomiting from across the street. We went to the school that's like across the street, but it's like a few hundred yards away, and they, into the school. We were in the hallways, but every time they opened a door, it just wafted into the place. And so you have people who are, sort of, we can call it cross curricular if you want to, but we have, construction workers who happen to hit a gas pipe, and all of a sudden we have a whole world of other problems. And so the problem solving end of it, we've got to be able to communicate. If you're a plumber, you have to be able to communicate with the electrician who just hit the line to figure out, where the problem was, how deep the problem is, and how do we shut everything off in the building to make sure there's no sparks and the whole place doesn't go up. It was the craziest way to go into Christmas break, but I'm rambling. The point is, problem solving is so huge, and these CTE classes are great about giving kids different, unique perspectives on problems, and then giving them the tools and giving them some of the sort of basic skills and saying, what can you come up with?
Well, I guess because even if you're in a CTE class, say you want to be an electrician, I'm sure
Mhm.
if you have to go through an exercise where, like, I was in one school, they were actually doing mock businesses and like
Hmm.
creating businesses. Just
Hmm.
going through that process, even if they don't want to start a business, there's a lot that you learn. Like you said, the problem solving, creativity, and of course, what students all love is group work. So they get to learn how to work in teams.
There you
So,
go.
so for sure, there's a lot they can do.
True
And I think
story.
what comes with the problem solving is what I've experienced is like also a boost of confidence. Because like when you see them when they finally figure something out, especially for something they were having trouble with and they have this problem and they can't figure it out, they get so excited and running up to you when they're like, oh no, this, I figured it out. Like, and when it finally like clicks. So giving them those problems, I can definitely see how it would build confidence and for sure some creativity. And even
Oh,
like you said, critical thinking, you need to solve the problems. So I could definitely see that also being kind of skills that you would learn in trades. So when we're thinking of them learning in trades, and you kind of hinted to it a bit earlier out of notice where you're like, parents, it's easy for them to kind of talk, as in you don't have to be a trades expert to kind of support their curiosity. And like you said, the best thing you do is just stay open to exploring it and just do DIY projects at home or watch a career video online, even attending like local open houses. Because I mean, you
sure.
said you went to the high school. That's something also that parents can do as well. Can't they like go to the high school and like see the classrooms that they would be like working with and things like that in
Sure.
different CTE programs?
Yeah, I mean, there are specific nights that there's like open houses and whatever that definitely can go in and see the work that the kids are doing and the tools that they have access to and the materials that they use and all those kinds of things. Absolutely. Yeah. Find out when the school's available, when the school's open. And a lot of times what you can probably do is just go up there and say, hey, uh, here's my ID, run the background check. I'd love to see what my kids are have access to up here. Can I get like a tour? Can I sit in on a class? And you
When I'm thinking of it, I
know,
was looking
who's
at.
yeah, go ahead. I was going to say
Oh
if
no,
you don't
I'm
have
sorry, it was breaking up. I couldn't hear you. What was that?
oh, sorry. I was just saying if you've got an administrator who isn't sort of overwhelmed and is totally cool with doing that, you can the classroom and see exactly what the schools are offering for sure. Open houses, though, that's where it's at.
Well, because that's also it would be more than just that classroom. That's open. Like if it's like you said, if it's going off of just who's busy, you might only get access to one of the classrooms. But if it's an open house, they're definitely going to open it to multiple. And when I was researching like the different trades in the area, there's so many different tech programs at like the different high schools, and they kind of all have their own. I mean, we all know endorsements. There might be a different endorsement at different high schools, and it's kind of in that same wavelength of there's different trades and the different some might have the cosmetology, some might have the business, welding, and all those things. And open houses are for sure I would say is the way to go, because even they have open houses even on colleges, like a college open house night, and even in high schools they have their open house period for the year, like when they're wanting to just open it so you can come and get familiarize yourself with the high school that you're going to be going to the next year. So I guess that's also a way to, if you keep it on the tip of your mind, to check out those career tech classes and make sure you kind of stop by if there's a lab or something that they might want to get into. Because honestly, your child might not even know if that might be the moment that makes them say, I want to be in this class or I want to be in a tech class. If they walk by and kind of see, like you even
Yeah,
described it, you were impressed and you teach CTE. So if you're
they're
impressed,
building so many cool things in these programs, man. I walked in one time and they basically built a house out of these little pieces of birch wood, and they are very specific and very detailed and had blueprints, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, dang, I didn't realize we got that detailed here in high school, y'all. It's so great. And like we have a high school here in in my school district that is a strictly CTE high school. And so they offer uh, first responder. They offer police officer. You can learn how court works by going through the legal program. You can art. It's got woodworking, electrical. It's got like so many different programs, and so uh, absolutely, your local school district, if they're CTE centered at all. They're going to have all kinds of cool stuff that your kids are going to be able to have access to. And, like I tell my kids, I'm like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy? If you're naturally good at something that you're also really interested in, the path just lays itself out before you. So, like, just pay attention to what your kids are doing and what they're interested in and what they're good at, and encourage them in those directions. We think of success in terms of like dollars and cents or whatever, but success, for me anyway, is, can you make a goal? Can you work towards the goal? Can you achieve the goal? And are you content along the path? Are you happy with what you come up with? And so pay attention to your kids. What are they good at? What are they interested in? And then push them in those directions, because you might have a kid who's like, I'm really interested in law. And that kid, go push them towards law. They might, be the greatest lawyer in the history of the world. I don't know. But you might have a kid who's like, I just really like the way that uh, uh, or sort of feels in my hand, or an arc welder feels in my hand, and like, that's fine too. It's all the way fine. So definitely pay attention to what your kids are interested in, what they are good at, and push them in those directions. If I haven't said that enough times already, sorry.
No, that's perfect. Like I said, it's great advice. So honestly, repeating it couldn't be bad. Couldn't possibly. Now, you mentioned before, like in high schools, that they have like industry people, will come in and they have like connections with industry people coming into those CTE courses and things of that nature. Would you say that there's also resources available and that those people will help them like find jobs? Only because my knowledge is limited as to what are those opportunities, you know what I mean? Like for networking and connecting and with those industry personnel from those CTE programs. Can you speak at all like to that or your knowledge of that?
I can't speak to what resources a teacher or a program might have for getting you a job necessarily afterwards, but I can definitely speak to the fact that those certifications, like I'm talking about my school district and Singley Academy, the CTE campus, they offer kids certifications. They offer kids, like, not that we're talking about this route, but if like you go to Singley, you could walk out of Singley with an associate's degree, and whichever pathway you decide to. You can get a certification, you can get a degree, going to one of those CTE schools. And obviously, if you're like 19 years old with a certification that would normally take people 2 years to get, you're ahead of the game. People that, my district anyway, especially at the high school level, they focus, as far as the teacher's concerned, on the experience. And like as an English teacher, they want people who have a degree in English. But as the welding teacher, you don't have to have a degree in welding. You just have to have industry experience, and enough industry experience that you can communicate that to the kids effectively. And so you have really good people who are in those trades teaching those kids, and those people know people. And so I would assume that those people would, if your kid is keeps his nose, sort of to the grindstone and works hard, that those soft skills that they've developed are going to translate into a teacher saying, hey, I actually know a couple of people. And can't speak to that like definitively, but I can definitely say that people from industry are running these these CTE classes, especially in high school. And if nothing else, they can give these kids what should you do next after you get the certification.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Because it's definitely, like I said, I don't know much about that. I know essentially, like I said, same thing theoretically, like they would have the connections because they're in the high schools. But I can definitely see how like I said, that could also paint into more jobs or, pathways into actual careers that they could be working. And I wasn't sure. You kind of stated that the industry personnel are actually working running the programs. So that also kind of gives me more information on, are they teachers or I know they have industry experience, but you know what I mean? I never really always know what that intersection, is for CTE.
Yeah, that's just sort of conjecture, but Irving ISD, working Irving ISD, there are so many campuses that are right next to police departments and right next to fire houses. And I know that our departments, so to speak, communicate with each other. And um, I don't see how a high school that's a CTE high school wouldn't have connections at the local police department when they have kids who are learning how to be police officers. It's like they're right there in your backyard. These your next candidates are already in high school, and you already have people in the high school who know who these kids are and can give you some feedback on how good of candidates they are. So I mean, I don't, I see plenty of kids go from, like, I have a kid right now who's telling me that she's trying to figure out if she's going to be a dispatcher or if she's going to be what does she call it? A family. I'm glad this just popped into my head. She's talking about how her teacher actually had a guest speaker come in and talk to them about specifics of a certain aspect of dispatching. And it's like, if we teach our kids how to network at all, um, relationships at all, there's going to be opportunities where you're going to run into people who are in the industry that you're looking to get into. And in a CTE high school that's bringing in those speakers all the time, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to say, hey, my name's William, and I'm thinking about being a one day. I'm thinking about doing computer engineering one day. What do I do next? Help me. Let me get your number. Here's my email. How can I help? How can I help you? How can you help me? Those kinds of conversations absolutely happen, because I just had a kid tell me about it. So yeah.
Well, I'll reverse just a little bit on there, only because it is part of my own curiosity. But the way that you speak about CTE, it for sure sounds like there's like a passion there. And I know a lot of students, sometimes, you work with students, they don't always know exactly what they want to do. And we're encouraging exploration to kind of help them connect those dots. What drew you personally to CTE, or made you like want to teach CTE courses or classes, and kind of what drives you to kind of continue teaching those CTE or career and technical education classes?
We'll see how much you like this answer. So I've learned something about myself in the last like 5 years, and that I'm pretty cool. And I've taught English for like 5 or 6 years, and the CTE position opened up at my school, and I sort of asked around about it and what all does it, what all their kids going to be learning, what all do the require of the teacher, what kind of materials am I going to be working with, and I'm kind of artistic, and they talked about fashion marketing. And initially, the word fashion, I was like, okay, I'll just teach English some more. After like digging into it a little bit, I'm like, yeah, I know colors, and yeah, I actually like mixing up my outfits and blah blah blah. And like, um, I was talking to a director of the CTE department, and I was like, all right, listen, if I, am to be interested in taking this job, I know what my primary responsibility as an English teacher is, and my primary objective. I'm trying to get these kids to pass this test, but in a CTE class, there's no test. Like, what am I trying to do here? What's the primary objective? And her response was, just make the class fun. on the middle school level, we're just trying to get these kids to just understand that there's different things that are available to them. They don't, like we were talking about earlier, you don't have to go to a 4-year college to be successful in life. And so much of our society is sort of built around like, go to college, find your spouse, have your kid, blah, 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 buy your house at some point along the path. And size fits all isn't exactly one size fits all. And so anyway, what really drew me in was like, I just like having fun with these kids. And like, some of the funnest things that I teach them are the soft skills and uh, life lessons that I've picked up along the path. I made a boatload of mistakes my whole life, and I've got a lot of things to teach these kids, and I don't necessarily if I'm focused on a test and focused on I got to hit all these specific standards, I can't quite get to those things. But in a CTE classroom that's supposed to be fun, we can do that. Like, for example, I'm rambling. For example, the last couple of days, these kids got done taking their STAR tests. They had, STAR testing season's basically over. And I was like, what are we going to do in class? Because we spent the last couple of weeks kind of helping them get ready for their STAR test. And so we were doing some English and math and science and social studies related things in their CTE class just to get them ready. What are we going to do? And so I decided to, like, the movie Thor is like, it kind of blows my mind. You're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, what's this cheesy movie? Like, why is it it's just a bunch of dudes punching each other. Like, what's the deal? But it's so deep, it blows my mind. And so I got to sit here as a CTE teacher, and we watched Thor the last couple of days, and we kind of broke down, man. You realize that what Thor really learned at the end and what made him worthy of his hammer was that he went from being the guy who wanted to sacrifice everybody for his glory in war, to where at the end he gets his hammer back because he learns that it's actually him that needs to sacrifice for everyone else and not everyone else for him. Isn't that fun and interesting? And so, like, the opportunity to have fun with these kids and to really kind of like take our foot off the gas pedal and just sort of sit back and have fun sometimes. That's what really drew me in. Again, I don't know if you like that answer or not, but
I mean,
is
there's
it your
no right
favorite
or
one?
wrong answer, but
It's got to be your favorite answer of all time. No?
the absolute fit. It's
Nailed it.
top tier. Chef's kiss.
Nailed
Top
it.
tier test. Now, I do want to ask just some final takeaways. So, if you were talking to a parent and you were telling them, like we kind of touched on it earlier about different things that they could do if they're interested in trades and things of that nature. But if you were to give them like one small step that they could literally do next week or even this week, what would that small step be to just kind of explore trades and get working in trades?
I would encourage you to just go to Google and do some research about the various trade jobs that are available, because there's a ton of them. AI is right around, like it's already here, but the it being prevalent in literally everything is like basically here already. And so those jobs are going to be in high demand. IT is going to be in high demand. We're going to not need roofers in Texas. But what are the different jobs? What are the different possibilities that are available to your kids? Because you might have a kid that's good with his hands, but like, does he want to be an electrician, or does he want to be a construction worker? Do the one simple step you can do is Google is your friend and go dig up the various trade jobs and look specifically. My recommendation would be to look at the future outlook of those jobs. What does the construction worker job look like in 10 years? Is it, the number of construction workers, is it going to go down? Is it going to go up? Is the pay what you want it to be? Because like if it's electrician versus welder, which one do you want to go down? The money might be the decision maker, the factor that you use to make that decision. But I don't know if you like that answer either, but Google's your friend. Like step one, uh, Google. And I would also say again, going back to the network thing, is to sit back and like, all right, I've got this 11-year-old kid. I'm trying to figure out how to help him think about his future. Who do I know? You might know a handful of people. You might know a dozen people who are in trades. You might know two people who are in trades, but really analyze your network and figure out whose brains you can pick and curious about those things. You can also, another thing you can do is like go see if there's is it, I'm trying to remember. Home Depot offers like, I think it's like the first Saturday of every month where you can take your small kid up there and they have them actually build something. They have these little kits and you can use hammers and nails and paintbrushes and blah, blah, blah.
You get to put the apron
A little
on, and you get the
apron with,
smart. Yeah.
that's right. And the more patches you get, the cooler you are, right? And so look into things like that. Those things are available all over the place. Um, but yeah, like I said, step number one for sure. If you're interested and you think your kid might have a future in a technical trade job, uh, research is your friend. Research it. Whether that research looks like Google or that research looks like you go do a little bit of research. And then talk to your kid. It's another thing. What do you want to do? What do you think you want to do for a living one day? Where do you want to go? What kind of life do you want to live? That's a big one. Like, do you see yourself living in like a normal house with like three or four people in it, your wife and your kids and like dogs and like, or do you see yourself like big baller mansion guy? That's what a lot of them say. I'm going to have 3 vacation homes and at least a couple of Bugattis, maybe have a helicopter. Like, what are you trying to do with your life? But talk to your kid, get to know your kid. And again, get to know what their interests are, get to know what they're really good at. Their kids are just innately good at certain things. I just like draw a little bit. I know how to use, I know how to create visual art. So just know what your kids are good at, get to know them, and then just kind of and drag them along with you. And I don't want to say drag, you want to encourage, obviously, and try to put the carrot in front of the donkey, so to speak. Uh, but definitely do the step one. What are the what are the possibilities available to your kid, and what are their skills and their interests, and how do those align with any trade possibilities?
Well, no, I think that's a great answer. Honestly, there were a lot of like takeaways, like you mentioned.
Nailed it again.
One, no, next $1 million question. You need to go on who wants to be a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
But no, like you said, talking to them. I mean, that's always like the first level. What do you want to do? Sometimes that question is difficult. So you can ask, what are you interested in? Like you said, just having a conversation. What do you see for your future? Even if, honestly, even if they say they want a Bugatti and all these things, it's still, they're thinking about their future. So it can't be a bad direction or a bad conversation to have. But like you said, see what they're good at. Definitely, like you said, Google's your friend. What trends are there? What types of careers are out there? What's growing? What's not growing? Especially in Texas, it could be different in different states. Absolutely, the network is a definite takeaway. I don't want to forget is who is in your immediate network and what do they do? Because even if it's not trades, it helps with that career exploration as a whole. What are you interested in? What do they do? And like you said, just ask them. Like I said, it's earlier, it's cookout season. So you might, you can kill two birds with one stone. You're hanging out during the cookout and your kid can kind of ask some questions and converse. So people love talking about themselves, but they also love talking about what they do and talking about what they love. They will, I call it geeking out. Like when they geek out about whatever you're interested in, everybody does it. Kids, adults, when they're interested in things. And absolutely, I don't remember the day, but I know what Home Depot program you're talking about because I've done them with my nieces and nephews
There
before,
you
and they love that little to get the orange vest on, and
go.
they would
Yeah.
have all kinds of little hands-on different building things they could do. They had
Mhm.
one that was testing water because like Home Depot has like water testing kits and that, and they were actually teaching about testing water in like the ecosystem. So those are definitely some amazing takeaways. But I don't want to take any much more of yours or our lovely viewers' times. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us for this conversation on skilled trade. I hope that it did give some insight, inspiration, practical ideas, or just ways to start exploring career paths with your children. And definitely, like you said earlier, Mr. Gates, is remember every child has unique talents, definitely some innate talents. And for some, their strengths shine brightest when they're creating, building, and problem solving with their hands. So our
Mhm.
job, as well as yours, is just to help them see all the possibilities that are ahead of them. But a
Yeah.
special thanks to you, Mr. Gates, for joining us and sharing your knowledge and your passion for this work. Like I said, your insights were definitely valuable and you gave a lot of resources, and I like to call them nuggets to kind of take with us. So I just want to tell everybody to be sure to join us for our next episode in our Charting Future Possibilities series. And until then, thanks. Keep planting those seeds of possibility together. Get them.
Hey, you're from Ohio. Have a